want to just talk about, okay, look, we are in this moment where organizers turned out a red former Confederate state, right? We have the wins of Raphael Warnock, now Senator Warnock, and Jon Ossoff, largely attributed to grassroots Black and brown organizers. And they pounded the pavement and knocked on doors, made calls, all of that. So I think we're seeing the ways that actual organizing, especially in the electoral arena in this case, but all over, is important. And you both have been on the winning side of organizing work. So I want to ask you, what does it do to your politics when you win? Like, how does that change your chemistry?
Yeah.
Jane, why don't I ask you?
I was going to say, I was waiting for Josh, but I see that mic is so, you know, I mean, again, first of all, I just need to say the pleasure I had was often actually in the tweets that Michael would send after the Seder show that were extraordinary and funny and sharp as can be. So I am honored to be here, and it's, you know, just a horrible travesty that we lost someone like Michael. So, you know, in the spirit of a good conversation, I'm already engaged in what the two of you were talking about before I jumped on. I was like, oh, that's so smart. Oh, so good. So what does it do when we win? Yeah, first of all, I think, to jump onto something that you were just discussing and that Josh was mentioning, there's just a whole lot of people who consider themselves either left or in the activist movement or something, who sadly, I think, have never actually experienced a win, what we would call a win, or even like a substantial win, like you just took Georgia, you know, from the Confederacy to like the black guys in the Senate. I mean, I have to say that the combination of voter suppression that goes on in Georgia and just the daunting odds of that time period, I was even finding myself sort of like on this edge of my seat, like, could they pull it off? And the fact that people did, I think, is a real testament to what serious organizing means, and that it didn't just start 6 weeks ago or whatever the damn the election day was. The whole point in Georgia is they've been building for years in Georgia. That's part of what organizing is. Not that it takes years, but the idea that it just began a few weeks back, you know, on November, whatever, is, you know, let's just dispel that myth. So I think winning matters a lot. It raises your horizon line about what's possible. If we do our work right, you know, I think organizers, we spend a hell of a lot of time in large circles, debriefing and analyzing, you know, what we did. Part of what amused me, I will say as a sidebar, when I went, my brief incursion into academia was sort of like the very first semester I was, you know, at age 40, I was 44 when I started the PhD, just to like I called it taking a break, like I needed a nap, right? So I went to do the PhD, and it really was a break for me, which I think insults people in academia, and I don't mean to, but I'm being super honest. Like, me having to worry about, did I get my reading done each day versus like, could 10,000 workers who were on strike get their job back, was like, you know, night and day. So when I got there, I actually had this very learned professor say to me, well, it's good that you've finally come here to learn to be reflective and think objectively about analysis. And I was just like, have you lost your fucking mind? Excuse my French. Sorry, not just do that. I was literally like, do people have any idea how much time real campaigns and real organizing, like how much serious analysis we're doing, how much objective conversations we're having? It's amazing. So winning really matters. And I'll say, not that I care much about Twitter. I think people know I don't. It's like the one thing I do recently. But I tweeted, you know, last night that to me, what Georgia represented, let's put aside every other chaos going on and the crushing of our democracy for the moment, because Georgia is so important. But I tweeted that for me, I couldn't help thinking that what Georgia represents for the political, I don't even know what we call ourselves, political, progressive, non-sectarian, smart, trying to win, actually trying to win, build power, expand our base, that whoever we are. I never know.
That's what we call ourselves.
I'm an organizer, but like, I think that what Georgia represents to political progressive politics, in some ways more so than even like AOC's win or others, the individual wins, because it was taking a whole state, is a lot like what I saw, what I hope the Chicago Teachers Union strike of 2012 was to reviving the strike in the labor movement. Like, those two are really serious analogies to me. And if we can move from Georgia and listen and learn for how much work and what the work was that the organizers on the ground were doing. And when I say organizer, I mean rank and file, volunteer. To Joshua's point, it's how you conceive of the work you're doing. It's, are you bringing others into it? Do you wake up systematically in the morning to do it? I don't mean professional. I don't mean it's what you do every day. I don't mean someone pays you for it. I mean, do you understand what it means to organize, which is about getting many other people not currently involved, right? So
Yeah.
involved systematically and having their perspective change and a whole lot of things. So I don't know. I think winning is huge. And I think that every strike that happened, every one of the big teacher strikes that's happened since Chicago is because Chicago showed teachers that they could win again. And what Georgia just showed us is that we can take the Confederacy. So I think winning and winning big is hugely important to the work we do.
Mm-hmm. Joshua, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add to that. I think that, momentum is important. And what's the cliche? It's easiest to pedal a bicycle when you're in motion, right? And when you're actually, the other thing that campaigns that actually win, I think it's a lot easier for people to work together when they don't actually like each other. If they're focused on a material goal that's in their immediate shared collective self-interest, where you build solidarity based on having something in common and winning it together, rather than solidarity being about having like a shared analysis. And I think for leftists who haven't been part of winning campaigns, the focus tends to be on alignment of a worldview and deriving purpose in being correct and right. And, a lot of the left would rather be, I think, unfortunately, self-satisfied and correct and not in power, because if you don't have power, you don't have to make hard decisions. You don't have to deal with the consequences of your decisions. You can just critique it from the sidelines. And then, so the other thing is that what you learn by winning is then you deal with the messy contradictions of real life and human beings. And when you're in those contradictions and realize how hard it can be to hold together a fraught coalition, you can also get a taste of actually imagining, governance. There's there's a group called Movement Generation that inspires me a lot. And one thing they say is, if we're not prepared to govern, then we're not prepared to win. And being prepared to govern includes the mechanics of learning how to do the work, which is always messier than the sound bites,
It reminds me of, I think there's a lot of parallels in comedy or anyone who's pursuing any kind of like entertainment job or really any dream that they've had of doing something. It's like, well, if you don't try, then you can never fail. Perfect. And you can just crap all over everyone else's work. That person's not funny. That person's stupid. That person, this script is terrible. Have you written anything? No. And I don't, you keep yourself small, because you don't want to, you're afraid of actually the amount of work that might come once you win. It'll be amazing too, though.